Imagine this. Weeks have passed, maybe even months. She hasn't called. No text, no Instagram story reactions, no trace of her in your reality, yet somehow she dominates your mind. You wake up thinking about her. You go to bed replaying old conversations. In the quietest moments of your day while driving, brushing your teeth, or lying in bed, her memory rises like a ghost you didn't summon. She's not knocking at your door, but she's echoing in your soul. This is not love. This is obsession. And it's not a sign that she was the one, it's a message from the unfinished parts of you. The Stoics would not call this suffering romantic. Marcus Aurelius wouldn't glorify your sleepless nights. Seneca wouldn't tell you to fight for closure. Instead, they would urge you to look inward, because that persistent echo of her name is not about her, it's about you. It's about something unresolved, something left behind in the war between who you were and who you're supposed to become. You see, the mind doesn't cling to people. It clings to meanings, to symbols, and oftentimes, when a woman leaves your life, especially abruptly or without explanation, she doesn't just take herself. She takes the version of you that you believed existed only in her presence. When that's gone, it feels like something sacred was stolen, but the truth is, it was never hers to begin with. It was always your responsibility to protect it. In Stoic terms, obsession is not a weakness. It is a compass, a signal. It is the mind's attempt to bring your attention to the parts of yourself you've ignored, your insecurities, your emotional wounds, your longing to be seen and validated. What you think is heartbreak is actually the resistance of your ego to look at your unfinished work. Love, according to Stoicism, must be rooted in clarity, not craving, in mastery, not need. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." Yet here you are, chained to a memory, enslaved by an image. So the question is not, why can't I forget her? The question is, what inside of me is still incomplete? The worst part of obsession is not that you miss her, it's that you forget yourself. You abandon your discipline, your dreams, your direction, and this abandonment creates a vacuum, which the memory of her rushes to fill. But that space was never meant for her. It was meant for the man you're still becoming. This video is not about how to win her back. It's not about tricks, closure, or closure texts. It's about reclaiming your mind from a phantom. It's about converting obsession into self-inquiry, turning longing into discipline, and using emotional pain as fuel for personal resurrection. If she's haunting you, she's teaching you, and your only job is to listen not to her silence, but to what it awakens within you. This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about freeing yourself, because you will never truly let go of someone until you reclaim the pieces of yourself you gave away without boundaries. Obsession is the psyche's way of asking, when will you finally choose you? In Stoic practice, pain is a prompt for reflection. Suffering is not shameful. It's sacred. If you respond to it with awareness, every time she enters your thoughts, it's not a setback. It's an invitation, not to chase, but to awaken. This is the hidden blessing in obsession. It reveals where the healing must begin, not with her return, not with her apology, but with your decision to become a man who no longer needs anything from the past to validate who he is today. So if you find yourself haunted, stuck, or broken by a love that slipped through your fingers, ask this instead: what version of me do I need to resurrect to become whole again? Because she is not the answer. You are. Now, comment below. I reclaim myself from every ghost of the past. Silent insecurity, the root of obsession. It's easy to believe you can't forget her because she was special, that she was your soulmate, that the connection was rare, once in a lifetime, irreplaceable. But let's dig deeper beneath the narrative you tell yourself, because the truth often hides under a more uncomfortable layer. The reason you can't stop thinking about her is not love, it's insecurity. Not the loud, obvious kind, not the self-deprecating voice that tells you you're worthless. This is a quieter, More dangerous form, a silent insecurity that whispers in your soul, "You're not enough as you are. You may dress well, speak confidently, and build success in the outside world. But if a part of you still doubts your worth, then her presence was never just love. It was proof. Proof that someone like her could choose someone like you. And when she walked away, she didn't just leave, she took the evidence with her. This is why it hurts. Not just because you miss her, but because her departure poked a wound that was already there. She didn't create the insecurity, she revealed it. You weren't obsessed with her. You were obsessed with the way she made you feel about yourself. The version of you that felt lovable, interesting, and enough through her gaze. Her validation became your mirror. And now that it's gone, your mind desperately seeks a replacement. It keeps rewinding the memory like a broken tape, hoping to find something, anything that tells you you were valuable. But here's the Stoic truth. If your value depends on her presence, it was never secure to begin with. Real self-worth doesn't need to be proven. It simply is. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Her absence is that friction. This obsession is not a punishment. It's the pressure revealing the crack in your foundation. A man who is secure doesn't need someone else to reflect his worth back to him. He carries it like a silent fire. Think back. Were there moments when you overextended just to keep her interested? When you agreed to things that didn't align with your values? When you stayed silent to avoid rocking the boat, hoping she would love you more for your peacekeeping? These were not acts of love. They were attempts to negotiate with your insecurity. And each time you abandoned your truth to gain her affection, you fed that insecurity more. She didn't leave because you weren't enough. She left because you didn't believe you were. And your energy, subtle, nervous, seeking, betrayed that. The woman who truly connects with you doesn't need perfection, but she senses stability. Women are not drawn to control. They're drawn to calm, to presence, to a man who knows who he is, with or without her approval. That's what was missing, not charm, not effort, but grounded belief in your own worth. From a psychological lens, this obsession is your ego clinging not to the woman, but to the version of you that felt desirable through her eyes. It's your mind trying to recover a lost identity, not a lost relationship. So what do you do with this realization? Start where it hurts. Take 10 minutes each day and write down one moment from the relationship where you felt small, desperate, or unsure. Don't judge it, just witness it. Then ask, what was I afraid of losing in that moment? Was it her love or your sense of being good enough? After that, list 3 traits about yourself that are undeniable, regardless of who walks in or out of your life. Loyalty, grit, creativity, whatever they are, speak them aloud. Reclaim your truth, because your power is not in being remembered. It's in remembering who you were before you forgot. In the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This obsession isn't a curse. It's a call, not to chase, but to come home to the man you abandoned trying to keep her. Because you were never too little. You were just too uncertain. Now, comment below, I am enough, with or without her memory. Losing yourself, not her, the painful truth. What if the real pain isn't that you lost her, but that you lost you? Not many men admit this. It's easier to say, I miss her, than to say, I miss the version of me I became when I was with her. But if you're honest, you'll see the truth in it. You didn't just lose a woman, you lost your direction, your fire, your identity. She wasn't the source of your strength. She was the mirror reflecting it back. And now that the mirror is gone, you're not sure where that man went. In those moments with her laughing in the car, planning the future, feeling seen, you were alive. You walked taller, you thought clearer, you chased goals, not because she asked you to, but because she inspired you. She reminded you of who you could be. That version of yourself was vibrant, motivated, and full of momentum. But here's the brutal truth. That man was always inside you. She didn't create him. You did. You rose up because you wanted to be your best, not for her approval, but because her presence demanded excellence. That fire didn't belong to her, it belonged to you. So when she left, the collapse didn't happen because she took something from you. It happened because you stopped feeding the fire. This is where most men fall into obsession, not because they want the woman back, but because they want the feeling back. The feeling of being in motion, of being wanted, of having purpose. She became a symbol of that purpose, and when she disappeared, the emptiness echoed louder than before. You confused missing her with missing clarity, but you were never supposed to depend on her to feel that way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are wrapped around her absence, your soul dims. But if your thoughts return to your path, your mission, your growth, your soul reignites." The Stoics teach us love from wholeness, not from hunger. And when she was around, maybe you were finally close to that wholeness. But the test wasn't to keep her. The test was to keep that version of you alive with or without her. Let's be honest. How many hours have you spent scrolling through old pictures, rereading texts, or imagining conversations that never happened? You're not clinging to a person. You're clinging to the part of you that felt awake. So take that energy and redirect it. Start by remembering the man she reflected back to you. What was he doing? Was he reading more, training harder, speaking with more purpose? Whatever it was, do it again. Not to prove something to her, but to prove to yourself that he never left. He just got buried under grief. Choose one thing this week, just one. A habit, a pursuit, a challenge, something that reminds you, I am not defined by who stays or leaves. I am defined by what I build. The woman may be gone, but the fire doesn't have to be. You see, true Stoic strength isn't shown when life is smooth. It's forged when the person you thought you needed walks away and you still rise. Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. That includes your emotions, your story, your identity. You were never meant to outsource those to a relationship. So ask yourself now, who do I become if I stop chasing ghosts? Because in the end, the greatest loss wasn't her leaving. It was you forgetting who you are when you are in motion, full of purpose, full of presence. That man is still alive. He just needs you to believe in him again. Now, speak out and comment below. I remember who I was, and I'm becoming him again. The test you failed, an opportunity to grow. She wasn't just a lover, she was a mirror, and the relationship, it was a test. Most men think relationships are about companionship, chemistry, or compatibility, but in truth, they are spiritual arenas, places where the masks fall off and your deeper self is revealed. And what if I told you, you didn't fail because you weren't good enough, but because you weren't ready? This is hard to hear, but necessary. When she asked, "Where is this going?" or when she challenged your consistency, when she withdrew to see how you'd respond, those weren't games, those were checkpoints. She was searching for your core, testing to see if your masculine foundation was solid or still under construction. But you didn't lead, you negotiated, you hesitated, you reacted with emotion instead of responding with grounded clarity. And that, right there, was the test you failed, not because she demanded perfection, but because she needed stability, not noise, not charm, just presence, just certainty. This is where the masculine is often misunderstood. Masculine energy doesn't dominate. It directs, it leads not with control, but with conviction. And when that energy is still developing, a strong feminine presence will challenge it, not to wound, but to reveal the gap. That's the test. You may feel shame about how you responded. Maybe you chased, maybe you lashed out, maybe you begged, or maybe you ghosted out of fear. But that reaction wasn't the problem. It was the signal that you weren't yet who you thought you were. The ego took a hit, but the soul received an invitation to grow. In Stoic terms, what happened to you is not misfortune. It's an opportunity. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. She walked away. Then that pain becomes your portal. That silence becomes your classroom. That failure becomes the forge. Let's get brutally honest. Were you emotionally consistent? Did you have a purpose bigger than her presence? Did you set boundaries? Did you communicate your vision and uphold your values? Or were you adapting yourself to avoid her disappointment? Because if you bent yourself to fit her world, you were never fully in yours. One of the most dangerous lies modern men believe is this: if I can make her happy, she will stay. No, if you can make yourself stable, she will respect you. And from that respect, love can grow. But love without leadership is like a ship without a rudder. Romantic, maybe, but eventually lost. This is your opportunity now, not to win her back, but to prepare for what's next. The next relationship, the next challenge, the next test. Because trust me, life will test you again. So here's what you do. Start making decisions again. Lead in the small things. Take back command of your schedule, your fitness, your finances, your vision. Learn to respond instead of react. Train yourself to stay calm in moments of emotional friction. That's the work. That's the rebuild. That's Stoicism in action. The test wasn't about her. It was about you. You failed it good. That means you have the chance to become the man who won't next time. And don't mistake this for bitterness or regret. You needed the shakeup. You needed the pain. Because without it, you would have stayed soft, stayed small, stayed a shell of who you could be. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every failed relationship, every emotional spiral, every goodbye is a barbell for your soul. You either lift it or stay weak. You already know what to do. You just need to do it differently this time. And when the next test comes, and it will, you'll be ready. Not perfect, but prepared. And this time, you won't flinch. Now, comment below. I'm rebuilding so I never fail the same test twice. Reclaiming yourself. The inner war. This isn't about forgetting her. It's not about proving anything to her. It's about you. Reclaiming yourself is not a feel-good slogan. It's not a TikTok mantra or a weekend motivation. It's a war. A slow, internal, unforgiving war against every part of you that abandoned your values, your power, and your vision the moment she left. This is the phase most men skip. They jump from one relationship to the next. They binge podcasts, hit the gym for a few weeks, or distract themselves with meaningless connection. But deep down, they never returned home to themselves. And until you do, no woman, no success, no distraction will ever feel like enough. The battle isn't outside, it's inside. The enemy isn't her, it's the version of you who gave your power away and never asked for it back. And here's the truth, that version must die. The weak man in you, the one who begs for validation, who checks her social media every night, who secretly hopes for a message, a signal, a second chance, he has no place in your next chapter. He is not your future. He is the residue of a man who forgot who he was. The new you begins in silence, but not the silence of passivity, the silence of preparation, the kind of silence where you sit alone, without the noise, and face the truth. Who was I trying to become around her, and why wasn't I already that man before she came? From there, you begin the real work. Step 1. Write your truth. Get brutally honest. What parts of yourself did you betray to keep her close? Where did you shrink? What habits, mindsets, or wounds did you ignore just to feel chosen? This isn't about shaming yourself. It's about shedding light, because what you don't face, you'll repeat. Step 2. Train like you mean it. And I don't just mean lifting weights. Train your body and your mind. Every morning workout, every cold shower, every difficult conversation you don't avoid becomes a brick in the fortress you're building. You're not exercising for abs. You're exercising to build a man who doesn't fold when tested again. Step 3. Remove the noise. This one hurts. Delete the social media apps that keep her face one tap away. Block her if you must, not out of anger, but out of discipline. Stop entertaining women who don't challenge you to be better. Cut off friends who keep you stuck in small talk and mediocrity. Your peace is your new standard. This is where most give up. Because it's lonely, because the old life was comfortable, even in pain, because part of you still believes that healing requires her to notice, but the moment you rise, truly rise, you'll realize something powerful. You never needed her back. You needed you back. This is the man she couldn't meet. This is the man you abandoned. This is the man who doesn't chase, doesn't collapse, doesn't react because he leads from purpose, not pain. And if you do this right, something beautiful happens. You stop wanting her to regret losing you. You stop caring about being seen. You start becoming so undeniably solid that the world adjusts around you. You don't win her back. You win yourself back. And that victory, no one can ever take that from you again. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is the Stoic path, not to suppress emotion, but to command it, not to avoid love, but to become worthy of it, not to deny pain, but to rise through it with purpose. So today, you start over, but not from scratch, from experience. Start writing, start sweating, start cutting the noise, and start listening not to her voice in your head, but to your own soul whispering, "Come home." Now, comment below, "I'm not chasing her, I'm becoming him," turning memory into motivation, living true to your potential. At some point, the memories stop hurting, but that doesn't mean they disappear. They simply evolve from wounds into whispers, from ache into insight. And if you're ready, those memories can become fuel, not for revenge, not for regret, but for your rebirth. This is where most men get stuck. They either romanticize the past or try to erase it completely. Both are traps. You don't need to burn the photos. You don't need to pretend she never mattered. You don't need to hate her. You need to understand what her presence revealed and what her absence is now calling you to become. Because her departure wasn't the end. It was the invitation. The invitation to rise. The invitation to examine your wounds. The invitation to reclaim your story. Stoicism teaches that pain is a signal, not to suffer, but to pay attention. And the obsession in your mind isn't weakness. It's a compass. It's pointing you toward the unfinished work, the parts of yourself still begging to be rebuilt, refined, and remembered. So here's the shift. Every time she crosses your mind, don't spiral activate. Let her memory become a switch that flips you back into discipline, into presence, into action. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. You'll be tempted to text her. You'll be tempted to stalk her online. You'll be tempted to imagine conversations that never happened, outcomes that never came. But instead of chasing ghosts, chase your greatness. Let the memory say, "You were powerful once," and let your actions say, "Now I'm becoming unshakable." Here's how you do it. First, create a mantra, a phrase that becomes your anchor when the emotions rise. Something like, "I'm building a life too strong to collapse again. She reminded me of who I can become. My future doesn't need her to begin." Write it, say it, repeat it. Let it become the voice louder than the echo of her name. Second, tie every memory to movement. When she enters your mind, move your body. Drop and do 20 push-ups. Take a walk. Stretch. Breathe. Why? Because obsession lives in stagnation, but movement reclaims control. Third, choose creation over rumination. Instead of replaying the past, write your vision. Build something. Whether it's your body, a business, or a new skill, create. Because the greatest revenge isn't being missed. It's becoming irreplaceable by never needing to be chased again. This is how you alchemize pain. This is how you build something so meaningful that the memory becomes sacred, not sorrowful. Let the past be a teacher, not a trap. Let her absence echo one question. What is the version of me that she awakened? And how do I become him, fully, now? That man, he's not desperate. He's not frozen in time. He's in motion, and his eyes are on the road ahead, not the one behind. Remember, Stoicism is not about forgetting. It's about forging. You take the pain, the memory, the grief, and you melt it down into discipline, direction, and dignity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." She was never in your way, but your attachment to her, that's the mountain you were born to climb. Not to conquer her, but to conquer you. So the next time her memory knocks, don't open the door. Stand taller, speak your mantra, and move forward. Because the man who keeps moving despite the echoes is the man who wins in silence. Not because he chased love, but because he became it. Now, comment below. Her memory fuels my mission.